Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. Priced at $999 US. This comes in two colors, Fiesta Red that we're about to look at, as well as Silver. It launches today, April 6, 2020, and while it is one of the most expensive Chromebooks on the market, it is arguably, at least on paper and from everything that I've seen back at CES 2020, one of the most impressive Chromebooks ever made. Now, if you follow my channel, you know that I've never covered a Chromebook, and that's because I really haven't found them to be worthy of replacing any of my machines. And I'm not sure that this one will either, but this did catch my attention, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So what's inside of this? Well, first and foremost, it's running Chrome OS. It's got an Intel 10th Gen Core i5 processor, a 13.3-inch UHD AMOLED display, of course, Samsung's own OLED tech, so I'm interested to see how that does, although I imagine it's going to be very similar to what's on my HP Spectre X360 13T. We've got 8 gigs of RAM, that is soldered, of course, a 256 gig SSD, and we have an Intel Wi-Fi 6 chipset, as well as, and I believe it's just a regular good old S Pen that is pocketed inside of this. So without further ado, let's crack this thing open and see what we're officially working with. So as I mentioned, I have not bothered with Chromebooks in the past, and that's because, well, as I already stated, I understand the premise. I just don't see myself, I don't think I need to do any more, being really interested or thinking that it's worth the price of entry. And while this is, again, very expensive, and you might think of Chromebooks as being traditionally, $500 machines, this pretty much is premium in every possible way. Again, 3 pounds for this 13.3-inch laptop. Fanless, so hopefully it doesn't get too hot. And I can already tell you the build quality is, as I mentioned, premium. So what could possibly go wrong? Well, of course, you do have to want a Chromebook. You can see the branding right there. And understand the limitations of working within a Chromebook OS. You essentially have access to Google's suite, and then you're going to hit a lot of roadblocks. So unlike a Qualcomm-driven Windows 10 experience, here the operating system is the problem, not the actual hardware. So, and I don't want to say it's a problem, because for a lot of people, Chromebooks work very well. I think they're designed for students for the most part, or people that are just happy getting great battery life, which is something that's going to be suspect on this machine. Let me show you what else is in the box, and then we'll just get to the entire tour of what we're working with. Of course, I did sanitize everything here because, well, as I already mentioned, we've had better times, haven't we? Warranty in here, the power brick right here. It is a Type-C charger, fairly big brick considering I wasn't expecting something this large. And then some pen tip replacements and the little grabbing tool for that. Interesting texture on this power brick, I have to say. Let's move this out of the way and let's get right to it as the box avalanche occurs. So I can already tell you that the build quality is stellar just from the way it feels. I really like the fit and finish, and I'm already happy that I picked it up to share it with all of you. It really exudes, I feel like, what Samsung has pretty much mastered in their mobile market. If only they would make a Windows machine like this. Now, it does have 2-in-1 posturing, so we can bring it all the way around, but before I get to that, let's go ahead and try to boot this thing up. I believe the power button is right here. Or no, that is the S Pen. This is the power button. Let's see if it has any juice. Hopefully it does. Doesn't look like it. Surprise, surprise, or not surprised at all. Let's see if I can ignite this somehow. But before I do that, let's just take a quick tour. So the red obviously is a matter of personal preference. Interestingly enough, they've integrated a webcam right here on the keyboard deck, which I think is pretty cool. As I already mentioned, 4K AMOLED that isn't running right now. The pen is pocketed right here. And yes, it is pretty much, for all intents and purposes, an S Pen, which is not a bad thing. No wrong way to dock it here. And I think it's pretty much a perfect solution, especially if, like me, you are a Galaxy Note user. So on the right side of the machine, we have a Type-C port, micro SD card slot, the power button that has no juice, speaker, nothing on the front. I really like the finish of this thing. And another speaker on the left. Then we have what appears to be another button. Maybe that's the power button. I'll check it out. Another Type-C and headphone jack. If that's the power button, then we're in good shape. Nothing else on this machine. Remember, it is a fanless Core i5, little plastic on each one of these feet, just to make anyone with OCD a little crazy. And it's nice that they've given us pretty much everything you'd want on a Chromebook. Let's see if that is the power button. I don't think it is. It is not. I didn't think it was. And, you know, I'll have to look into what exactly that is. But all things aside, we also have a webcam front and center right there. And I believe that's pretty much it. Now, the beauty of this camera, if you're wondering, is that you can flip this around, and that may be what that actually is. Now that I think about it, that could be the shutter button. So you're looking at what you're shooting and you hit this. And you might say to yourself, why on earth would you need that? I believe this is 8 megapixels. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's not a big deal. And the other one is 1 megapixels, the actual webcam for video conferencing. And that's so that you can actually take decent images with this, which is something we don't see with any laptops. And that's unfortunate. Not that I want to shoot images with a laptop, but I think it makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, from a build and, again, fit and finish standpoint, this thing is really nice. I just hope that the battery life is adequate. That's my biggest concern. We have a 4K display here, and if we don't have decent battery life, you know, that's going to be bad. I mean, it is a Chromebook, and with a Chromebook, you expect solid battery life. And otherwise, I think everything they did was really nice on this. Again, the build is just great. Trackpad is very similar in size to my Spectre X360 13T. Dual microphone array there. Fingerprint scanner, I almost forgot, right here. So yeah, I like everything. I just hope that battery life is okay, because this has everything going to be the sort of compelling solution that would make me want a Chromebook. The color was the only one available, so don't think that I was after the red. And I do think, let me see if I have a Type-C cable here that I can just plug in, even though this is not its Type-C. I don't think it matters which side I go in. So let's see if this does it. And yes, it does. So the LED on the side is now blue. And there we go. Sorry I didn't do this earlier, folks. Better late than never, right? And so it is powering up. So I can already tell you, I was, you know, part of what I'm very curious about with this is how similar it's going to be to the panel on the 13T, that is the HP Spectre. And that's because Samsung did make that panel as well. And I was wondering why Samsung is waiting to share, you know, to actually utilize their own panels in their own products. And this is the first offering that they've done outside of course, tablets, like the current Samsung Galaxy S6, the Tab S6. I don't confuse people now. So it'll be interesting to see what the quality is like. I mean, right now, it's tough for me to tell you with this white splash, but I am gonna, you know, get this set up and see how it performs. And you'll see a follow-up on this really soon. But again, I'm impressed with this thing. It's all gonna be about performance. And I will report back, you know, as someone that is not a Chromebook user, that will be my perspective on this running review. Of course, people who love them, they're gonna be interested in this. It's, again, the nicest Chromebook I've ever seen. And I've seen them all. I've just never been interested. And again, it says a lot that this one brought me to the table. But that rounds things out. Again, unboxing and first look at the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. And I like the design cues. Build quality seems great. Let's just hope the battery life can hang, because that's what Chromebooks are all about. Portability, this has. Build quality, this has. It definitely has the best screen without me even getting through the paces that any Chromebook has had. And from a processor and RAM storage perspective, having a micro SD card slot and the additional camera, it all looks great. It's going to all boil down to the battery life and software limitations that Chromebook presents. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. Please stay safe. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.